On Your Side Tonight continues now. Good evening, and thanks for staying with us here at 7:30. Whether you're new to Charlotte or have been watching WBTV for years, there has been a presence on our news team that's remained the same. Our Ron Lee has been telling stories from Charlotte to the mountains for more than 2 decades. But tonight we're doing something very different. Ron himself has a story to share. Take a look.
Well, this was a 5,000 square foot building that simply is not here anymore.
For 24 years, WBTV News reporter Ron Lee has brought you stories from the field
Something truly amazing happened
to your living room.
It's odd to be on this side of the camera. It's certainly something I'm not used to.
His instinct for journalism, telling people's struggles, often through their eyes. Over the past few months, Ron has done what he's meant to do, tell stories. But over time, you may have noticed a change. Ron has been on a journey to live a healthier life.
There was one picture, and I refer to it as the picture, that really changed my mind. I was up in the Hickory area doing a story and ran into a friend that used to work here, and she wanted to take a picture of us because we haven't seen each other in a long time. And she posted it and tagged me in it, and I was horrified. I was just, my jaw hit the ground. I couldn't believe how big I was. And at that point, I'm like, something has to be done.
Ron realized he was in a race against time.
That really was a kick in the tail for me to make me make a change in my life, because I couldn't go on living like that. Literally could not go on living like that. I was going to die.
Ron made a decision, a life-saving decision to improve his health, not only for himself, but for the people in his life.
Oh, I did this all for my family. I've always been close to my family, my wife, my parents, my brothers. I did this for them, that I could be around for 14 more years to bug them a little bit.
Be around this newsroom too as well. Joining us here in studio is our WBTV veteran reporter Ron Lee. I appreciate you coming in and talking about this weight loss journey that
Absolutely,
you're
it's great to actually see you and not just to hear you in my
Yeah,
earpiece.
there you go. You're full-bodied and everything, right? You were kind of cringing watching some of the pictures.
It was hard to see those pictures, even though that was only about 7 months ago since I've had the surgery. Seeing myself at 408 pounds was very difficult, and I know a lot of people going through the same struggle have a hard time. Looking at yourself in the mirror, sometimes you just don't see it. It just becomes a regular routine, and okay, I gained a little bit of weight here and there, but when you really step back and you make the change and then you look at what you looked like before, it's really eye-opening and as I use the word, horrifying.
How many times a day are you hearing now, though, you look great? And how awesome is that to hear that?
It's happened once or twice. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even recognize me. And I still have a long way to go. I still have about 40, 50 pounds to go. That's what my surgeon wants me at.
A couple weeks ago, we were in the parking lot talking about this, and you said it was a conversation with your doctor that just really sort of stopped you in your tracks. Talk a little bit more about that.
It was a yearly physical, and I had gone in, and again, you don't really see how much you weigh. And he put me on the scale, and the scale read 187. Well, I said, well, that seems a little low to me. And I said, is that correct? Is that right? He said, that's in kilograms, Ron. That's not real. I said, okay, well, what are we looking at normal weight? He said 408. And I can't even describe the feelings that you get when you hear words like that. And then he had a sit-down conversation with me, and he was very brutal. He's like, look, you are taking years off your life. You are going to die early. And life for me is so much fun, and I love what I do so much, and my family is so important to me. I can't imagine not being there. And the doctor said, look, if you have this surgery, you can live an extra 14 years. And that's 14 extra years I get to bug my wife. she's just overjoyed with that, concept.
Ride your motorcycles, be with your dogs, and all of those things as well. Do health issues like this run in your family?
Yeah, unfortunately, just about every single man in my family has died of coronary disease. My favorite uncle was younger than I was. He used to climb mountains. He died of a heart attack in the middle of the night. So it definitely runs in my family, and it was definitely a concern for my primary care physician. And I had struggled with my weight my entire life. I don't think that's a secret to anyone who knew me. But I've always been able to knock it off. I'd get to that high point, you know, 300, 350s, 377 was the highest, then I'd be able to drop it down. I'd go on the latest fad diets. I'd go work out like a rat. But for some reason, about 2019, it just didn't come off anymore. I stagnated, and then I gave up, and I got bigger.
Yeah, and then this conversation with the doctor saying, you want to be here tomorrow, you need to do this. So tell me about the conversation you first had about going the surgery option, and what was your reaction to that?
Well, I really had some brutal comments with my my family. My parents were all about health and getting the weight off, and they've seen me kind of do the yo-yo diets my entire life. And it was my mom that said, look, have you thought about surgery? And I've always thought, you know, I don't want to take the easy way out. I want to put in the work. But when the weight wasn't coming off, no matter what I did, I had to make a change, and I had to do it very quickly because I honestly believe I had a time limit. Would I be here in 1 year? Would I be here in 2 years? You know, I had to do something very quickly.
Explain a little bit more about that surgery and then the changes that it has brought in the way you eat and in everything else.
Oh, it's completely changed everything. The surgery itself, I started the journey in about 2019. We were right in the throes of the pandemic at that point. So I couldn't get in and do the surgery because obviously there were people out there who had COVID who needed those beds way more than I did. So I was just basically put on a waiting list. And it's not just you sign up, you go get the surgery, and that's it. There are a myriad of things you have to go through. You have to go see a heart specialist. You have to go see a counselor. You have to go see your primary care. You've got to go to a sleep doctor. And it's also very expensive. Thankfully, you and I work for a company that has great insurance, because without that, I mean, the surgery itself is about $30,000. So that's out of reach for most people.
So they basically shrunk the stomach, right?
Well, they cut the stomach.
Yeah.
What they did was they took my stomach and they created what they refer to as a pouch.
Okay.
And my stomach runs through it. Now my stomach is still there, but it's a lot like a lot of relatives I have that just kind of floats around and does nothing with no real interest of anything. So I can only eat what I fill the pouch at. But it's a tool. It's not a forever thing because a lot of people can stretch that pouch out, and some people gain a lot of the weight back. So it's not just it's not an all cure thing. You have to be really careful, and eating sugar is horrible. I've got to consider sugar almost like a poison because it's really bad for you. You can go through what's called a dumping syndrome, which is it's an imminent fear of death, and that's what my nutritionist says. Those are the words she used: an imminent fear of death, where your heart races, you get flop sweats. A lot of people have to call the medics because they think they're having a heart attack.
So a lot of education has to go into this to make sure, because there's sugars and things you probably don't sometimes even think about, and it can obviously have a horrible reaction.
I used to go to the grocery store, and it would take me 15 minutes to go in and out. Now it takes about 2 hours.
Reading every label, right?
Every single thing, because if you're not careful and you eat the wrong thing, things are going to go real bad for you.
As far as where your weight is today, are you where you want to be? Is there still some work to do?
There's still some work to do. I'm only 7 months into the program. The doctor still wants me down at he said about 218.
Okay.
So as of this morning, I was 258. So hit officially 150 pounds this morning.
How do you feel? How different do you feel?
It's like night and day. You can't even describe it, because I can walk, like just walking into the studio, I would get, I'd lose my breath. You have much more energy. You have much more excitement. Things seem fresh to you. And now the surgery, as you and I were talking about, it's not for everybody. This is not a cure-all thing. If you have 30 pounds to lose for a high school reunion, this is not the thing you want to do. This is a life-changing, life-altering type of deal. So if you're interested in something like this, I don't want to be a mouthpiece for it, but definitely go see your doctor, go see your cardiologist, have that conversation and make it brutal. Give them your concerns. Say, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and you make that decision together.
Well, you look fantastic. I appreciate you coming in and sharing the story.
Absolutely.
We want you around here for a long time at WBTV as well, and bug your wife some more too, and your family.
I'm good at that.
All right, Ron, appreciate you coming in and sharing your story.